that's when they're at their best, is when they have an experienced team coming back, because those teams that they've had, the real strong one, of course, you and I have talked in the past about that Kentucky game. I'm telling you, they win that game. I think they're winning a national title years ago. But when they have a veteran team, they're going to play defense. And when they play defense and they're experienced, they're going to be dangerous. So talk about those veteran players returning this year that make up such a big core for the Fighting Irish.
This core that they have coming back, especially in guys like Prentice Hub, Nate Leshevsky, Dane Goodwin, all seniors, all get another year. That core group, those seniors who have been together now, this will be their fourth season. When they were coming into Notre Dame, they were ranked nationally one of the top 15 recruiting programs or recruiting classes in the country. So there's talent there. The issue with Notre Dame is we haven't seen it for whatever reason. It hasn't. We haven't seen the continuity. We haven't seen the consistency. But that group, there's just too much talent there for them not to have had yet a winning record in the Big East. Hopefully, this is the season that they do that. But if this team does anything, it's going to be led by Hub, Leshevsky, Goodwin, and to an extent, Cormac Ryan and Trey Wirtz.
Prentice Hub is incredibly fun to watch. He is a explosive guy. He can fill it up. He had big games against tough teams throughout the year. The issue with Prentice Hub, of course, is the turnovers, 3.2. But he brings a dynamic to Notre Dame, an athletic, aggressive scorer that I think you need. Leshevsky as well. Hub was third team All-ACC last year. Leshevsky was honorable mention. That's a good group, and Cormac Ryan can absolutely fill it up. He had some games as well. So I think that's a good group, and I think, Tom, the focus this year will be the core is back, the group is working through in the summer, and I think they just have to improve defensively because you have some explosive scores, and of course you're going to be able to shoot the three. Team shot at a 37% clip last year.
Well, Mike Brey was almost to a point brutally honest with this basketball team in the offseason and said, look, we haven't gone to the NCAA tournament the last 4 years. And if you want to get back to the NCAA tournament, if you want to hear your name called on Selection Sunday, there's no secret, fellas. Like, we could get older, we can get bigger, we can bring in this guy, we can get more talented with the two local freshmen that they have. He said, but if we're going to do anything, you've got to really recommit on the defensive end. And that's where it's all started in the offseason. It started with bringing back Anthony Solomon as an assistant coach for his third tour of duty. Notre Dame has never gone to an NCAA tournament Sweet 16 without Anthony Solomon. The times that he's been on staff, they've been to 3 Sweet 16s, they've been to 2 Elite 8s, and they've won an ACC tournament championship with Slow as the main assistant and the main voice. That was their biggest move in the offseason, was bringing Anthony back. Mike Brey said, look, we've been around this college basketball block together. You know me. I know you. You go take these guys, get after them defensively, get into them, make them get into a stance, and understand that if they're going to do anything this season, you've got to rebound, you've got to defend, you've got to box out, and you've really got to care because, like we've talked about, it comes easily some nights on the offensive end. It's defense that this program has long had a problem with.
And it looks like you have a transfer coming in from the Ivy League, Paul Atkinson, who can contribute to that as well. You get an inside presence. You get a player who can play both ends there. That's going to change things. I think Paul Atkinson is going to bring a lot to this program.
Paul Atkinson was like the got-to-get guy. Everybody talks about the freshman that you've got to get this freshman or you got to get that freshman. From like late November, early December, when there were signs that the Ivy League was not going to have a season in 2021, and Paul Atkinson was going to hit the transfer portal as a graduate transfer. Mike Brey looked at the transfer portal and said, our number one guy to get isn't a high school senior, isn't a traditional transfer. It's a graduate transfer in Paul Atkinson. And he really focused all his recruiting effort, really December, January, into getting Paul Atkinson, because we talked about they lose Juwan Durham. Paul Atkinson, the minute he stepped on campus, he arrived like 2-3 days earlier than the rest of the guys to get his Notre Dame career started. The minute Paul Atkinson stepped on campus, he became a starter. He became a main guy, and he's going to be a guy that with along the likes of a Hub or a Leshevsky or a Goodwin, that's going to play 32, 33, 34 minutes a game for this program.
And there are 2 freshmen coming in, 4-star and a 3-star, right in the area in Indiana from South Bend. How are they going to do, and can they assimilate into a team that has a lot of veterans returning?
This is what's funny about the Notre Dame men's basketball fan base. Like, a couple years ago, Jaden Ivy, who's now at Purdue. I see Jaden Ivy could be a top 10 NBA prospect a year from now if he decides to go that route. Jaden Ivy grew up basically on the Notre Dame campus. His mom, Niele, was an assistant coach. She's now the head coach of the women's program. And everybody around town, they couldn't believe that Mike Brey couldn't land Jaden Ivy because he was basically in their backyard. They're like, you got to recruit the South Bend, Mishawaka area. How come you can't get Jaden Ivy? Jaden Ivy goes to Purdue. So the next recruiting cycle, Mike Brey gets 2 guys, not 1, he gets 2. J.R. Konieczny from South Bend St. Joe and Blake Wesley from South Bend Riley. And all the Notre Dame fan base says is, look at Mike Brey. He's so lazy. He doesn't bother to recruit. He doesn't even leave the city of South Bend to go recruit people. So you're like, you know what? What does this guy need to do? But J.R. Konieczny and Blake Wesley are both going to be in the rotation. We saw a little bit in one of the open practices that we were allowed in July. And they may be freshmen, but neither of them play like freshmen. And the one thing that you really like about a guy like Blake Wesley is he's going to get after it defensively and put some pressure, some game pressure, some rotation pressure on the likes of a Trey Wirtz or a Cormac Ryan or a Dane Goodwin. Because if those guys aren't going to get in the stance, I'll tell you one thing, Blake Wesley's going to get in. He's going to play, and he's going to get in the stance, and he's going to get after you defensively.